Ladies and gentlemen, there is one shift so powerful that the moment you make it, your life begins to change. Not tomorrow, not someday, instantly. This shift has nothing to do with luck, intelligence, money, or background. It has everything to do with responsibility. The moment you take full responsibility for your life, you take back control of your future. Most people spend their lives reacting instead of creating. They blame their circumstances, their past, other people, or bad timing. They say, "If only things were different, my life would be better." But here is the truth. Blame feels safe, but it is expensive. It costs you your power. When you blame something outside yourself, you tell your mind that you are helpless. And a helpless mind cannot create a powerful life. Responsibility is different. Responsibility is not about blaming yourself or feeling guilty. It is about ownership. It is about saying, "This is my life, and I am responsible for what I do next." You may not control everything that happens to you, but you always control how you respond. And your response determines your results. Two people can face the same problem, yet one grows stronger while the other stays stuck. The difference is responsibility. The responsibility shift begins with a simple change in thinking. Stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I do about this right now?" That one question moves you from victimhood to leadership. It forces you to focus on solutions instead of excuses. It turns obstacles into opportunities and setbacks into lessons. When you take full responsibility, excuses disappear. You stop waiting for motivation, permission, or the perfect conditions. You understand that action creates motivation, not the other way around. You act even when you don't feel ready. You move forward even when fear is present. Responsibility gives you courage because it reminds you that your future depends on your actions, not your feelings. This shift also changes how you see yourself. You stop seeing yourself as someone life happens to, and you start seeing yourself as someone who shapes life. Your confidence grows, not because everything becomes easy, but because you trust yourself to handle whatever comes. You no longer fear challenges, because you know you can learn, adapt, and rise. Taking responsibility also raises your standards. You stop accepting average results. You stop tolerating habits that hold you back. You become more disciplined, not because someone forces you, but because you respect yourself. You realize that every small decision matters. What you do daily shapes who you become permanently. Many people wait for a breakthrough before they change. Responsible people change first, and the breakthrough follows. They don't wait for clarity, they create it through action. They don't wait for confidence, they build it through responsibility. This is why responsibility is the foundation of success in every area of life, career, relationships, health, and personal growth. Let me be clear, taking responsibility does not mean life will be perfect. It means you will be powerful. Problems will still exist, but you will face them with strength instead of excuses. Challenges will still appear, but you will meet them with action instead of fear. So today, make a decision. Decide to take full responsibility for your choices, your actions, and your future. Stop blaming the past. Stop waiting for someone else to change. Step into your power, because the moment you take responsibility for your life is the moment your life begins to change instantly. Responsibility gives you back control the moment you take responsibility. You reclaim the power you may have unknowingly given away. Many people feel stuck not because they lack ability, but because they believe their life is controlled by circumstances, other people, or past events. When you blame something outside yourself, you surrender control. Responsibility reverses that. It shifts your mindset from "I am trapped" to "I am in charge." And that shift alone can change how you approach every situation. Taking responsibility means accepting that while you may not control everything that happens to you, you always control your response. Your response determines your direction. Two people can face the same challenge. One grows stronger, the other grows bitter. The difference is not the problem, it is who takes ownership of the outcome. When you realize this, you stop reacting emotionally and start responding strategically. Responsibility also frees you from waiting. When you believe someone else must change before your life improves, you delay your own progress. But when you take responsibility, you no longer wait for permission, approval, or perfect conditions. You act, you make decisions, you move forward. Control returns to your hands where it belongs. As you practice responsibility, your confidence increases. Each decision you own, each action you take, reinforces the belief that you are capable. You stop feeling powerless and start feeling prepared. Responsibility becomes your foundation for leadership, first over yourself, then over your life. Responsibility eliminates excuses and creates action. Excuses are often invisible, yet they quietly control the direction of our lives. They sound reasonable, logical, and even justified, but every excuse has one thing in common: it delays action. When you take responsibility, excuses lose their power. You stop explaining why you can't move forward and start focusing on how you will move forward. Responsibility shifts your mindset from justification to execution. When responsibility becomes your standard, waiting is no longer an option. You stop waiting for motivation, confidence, or perfect timing. You understand that action is what creates clarity, energy, and momentum. Responsible people act even when they feel uncertain, tired, or afraid. They know that progress is built by doing, not by thinking or wishing. Taking responsibility also forces honesty. You stop telling yourself stories that protect your comfort and start telling yourself the truth that creates growth. You recognize that most limits are self-created, not life-created. This awareness is powerful because it gives you something you can work with, your own choices. As excuses disappear, momentum takes their place. Small actions build confidence. Confidence leads to bigger actions. Over time, responsibility transforms discipline from a struggle into a habit. You no longer ask, "Do I feel like doing this?" You ask, "What does my future require from me today?" And that question leads to consistent, powerful action. Responsibility builds confidence and self-belief. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is something you build. And the fastest way to build it is through responsibility. Every time you take ownership of your actions and follow through on your commitments, you send a powerful message to yourself: I can be trusted. That self-trust is the foundation of true confidence. When people avoid responsibility, they also avoid growth. They doubt themselves because they have not proven themselves. But when you take responsibility, even for small actions, you begin to stack evidence of your capability. Each decision you own, each challenge you face head-on, strengthens your belief in yourself. Confidence grows through action, not positive thinking alone. Responsibility also changes how you respond to fear and uncertainty. Instead of running from discomfort, you step into it. You understand that fear is not a stop sign. It is a signal that growth is near. Responsible people don't wait to feel confident before they act, and confidence follows. This mindset transforms hesitation into courage. Over time, responsibility reshapes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who hopes things will work out and start seeing yourself as someone who makes things work out. That shift creates inner strength. You no longer rely on external validation because your confidence comes from knowing that you show up, take action, and keep moving forward. No matter the circumstances, responsibility raises your standards. When you take full responsibility for your life, your standards naturally rise. You stop accepting average results, weak habits, and excuses that once felt normal. Responsibility forces you to look honestly at your choices and ask, is this behavior aligned with the life I want to live? That question alone begins to elevate how you think, act, and decide. Raising your standards means understanding that what you tolerate, you teach yourself to accept. When you avoid responsibility, you tolerate poor habits, wasted time, and unfulfilled potential. But when you take ownership, you become more intentional. You choose discipline over comfort, growth over convenience, and long-term success over short-term pleasure. This is where real personal transformation begins. Responsibility also sharpens your discipline. You no longer rely on moods or motivation to guide your actions. Instead, you act based on principle and commitment. You show up even when it's difficult because you hold yourself to a higher level of integrity. Over time, this consistency builds excellence, not perfection, but progress that compounds daily. As your standards rise, so do your results. You attract better opportunities, healthier relationships, and stronger self-respect. Not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger. Responsibility turns average effort into excellence and ordinary potential into extraordinary outcomes. Responsibility turns problems into growth. Life will always present challenges. The difference between people who grow and people who stay stuck is not the absence of problems, but how they respond to them. Responsibility transforms problems from obstacles into opportunities for growth. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" responsible people ask, "What is this teaching me?" That shift in perspective changes everything. When you take responsibility, you stop seeing setbacks as failures and start seeing them as feedback. Every difficulty carries a lesson, and every mistake contains information that can make you better. This mindset removes fear from failure. You no longer avoid challenges. You engage them, knowing that growth lives on the other side of discomfort. Responsibility also builds resilience. When you own your response to adversity, you develop emotional strength. You learn how to adapt, adjust, and move forward despite uncertainty. Instead of being broken by pressure, you are refined by it. Each problem you face becomes training for the next level of your life. Over time, this approach transforms your entire relationship with hardship. Challenges no longer stop you, they shape you. Responsibility turns pain into progress, struggle into strength, and difficulty into development. When you live this way, nothing is wasted. Every experience becomes part of your growth, and every challenge becomes a step forward rather than a setback. Thank you.